Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and a little bit more Birthright here. One more extra piece of content that we had, which was pretty interesting from the Seeking Blood Silver adventure from the Dungeon Magazine, is that it actually gives us 2 new monsters to also incorporate into the campaign setting. But also, just for DMs, feel free to use this in other settings as well, or even in your homebrews. So we'll cover both of these in the same videos. This gives us a couple of new undead types, essentially. So, when a Scion perishes in the Shadow World near Melivien, he becomes either a Skelter or a Zombire, 50% for either, with no powers or special abilities beyond those listed below. So again, they're tying it to a very even specific area in Birthright, but again, you could still have some fun with this as a DM and create your own variations on this, or again, just incorporate it into your homebrews. So Skelters, this is an emaciated creature resembling a lich with its leathery skin, drawn tightly over its bony frame. The eyes of a Skelter burn with an intense hatred for all life, and its voice is raspy and spiteful. These gaunt creatures have a chilling touch similar to that of a Spectre. The attack inflicts D8 HP and drains 1 level of XP from the victim. You can do a save versus death magic. The energy drain is only temporary, and lost levels and hit points are restored at a rate of 1 per day. A non-blooded individual slain by a Skelter or drained of all levels does rise as a zombie under the Skelter's control. A blooded victim rises as a free-minded Skelter. And then we get our little stat block here. So, not sure what they mean with intelligence. Very. Is it very intelligent? I don't know. Chaotic Evil, again, the old armor class value, so you have to port that over to 5th if that's what you're playing. You get some ideas here on the damage, as they mentioned, the energy drain. You do need silver or magic weapons to hit it, so that's worth noting. Immune to cold, poison, paralysis, and death magic, of course, as you might expect. Also immune to sleep, charm, hold, and fear-related magic. And basically 650 XP apiece, so pretty cool. They are considered turned as ghasts, and 1 vial of holy water causes them 2d4 damage. So, pretty cool. Alright, let's move on to the Zombires. Looks like a normal zombie without the sluggishness, though. So these are the fast kind. Its eyes glow with intelligence and malice. It doesn't suffer the penalties to initiative, and it is surprisingly agile. It lacks the energy-draining touch of the Skelter, but it can assume gaseous form at will, so that's pretty frightening. However, it can attack in this form and has to revert back to a corporeal state to inflict damage. And it cannot assume corporeal form and attack in the same round, so that is at least handy and welcome for players. Otherwise, it'd be pretty nasty. Its claw attack essentially causes D8 damage, and the victim must save versus paralysis or be frozen in place for 2d6 rounds. So that actually is pretty scary, especially in combination with the other monster here, right? Draining some levels and HP. And then here, these guys just kind of stun you into inaction. So, if you get a nice hot roll as the DM here, oh, you're stunned for 10 rounds. That's going to be pretty nasty as these things wail on you. All right, and this is just one, right? Zombies essentially will not really ever be just by themselves, right? That you'll have a pack to deal with. They continue to attack frozen victims. Non-blooded individual slain by 1 rises as just a regular zombie under its control. A blooded victim rises as a free-minded zombie. Again, you get the breakdown here. Thankfully, they don't have very good armor. I do need silver and magic weapons to hit it again, though. Immune to cold, poison, paralysis, and death magic. Again, immune to sleep, charm, hold, and fear. And these actually have more XP value, so 975 there. So, interesting that they do it that way. In certain aspects, I'd be more worried about the level drain and stuff like that. But on the other hand, these things stunning you into inaction is pretty nasty. Here, these are considered turned as wraiths, and holy water again does 2d4 damage. You can maybe bump that up if you want to as well. So they can control mindless undead, in other words, skeletons and zombies within 30 yards. That's another sort of frightening aspect of them. When slain, they molder into piles of flesh and bone. So all in all, 2 pretty frightening new undead types here for the DM to torment players with, and players to hopefully survive encounters. So interesting that they're tied to a specific area here. But again, could be a cause for maybe having them show up in other parts of the Birthright setting, with the DM's discretion, of course, and maybe creating a good reason as to why. But certainly also just for players in their homebrews, here's a couple new cool undead that you could use in your campaigns. So if nothing else, picking up the adventure here, the Seeking Bloodsilver one, you get a really cool adventure. Again, check out our video on that. You get a couple new bloodline abilities for your Birthright specifically, and a couple of new monsters on top of it. So all in all, really worth a pickup. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more Birthright content early, consider supporting us on our Patreon. All the support does help. Got a lot of exclusive content on there as well, not just for Birthright, but other D&D settings. So hit us up on that. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.